Wow, okay, so big news is a couple of days old. I should have probably mentioned about this earlier, but I've just been trying to. I've been trying to push out more and more videos, like at least do 2 a day, and now I'm doing at least probably 2 every other day. I guess is where I'm kind of at. I do plan to do some more videos, but this and my reaction to the recent Jared Leto Joker thing, I think, is one I'm going to post today. This is about Valiant Comics and Sony Entertainment. So, a couple of days ago, Sony announced that they had just gotten the rights to both Bloodshot and Harbinger from Valiant Comics, and that they're basically going to do, leading into a, I think it was Harbinger War, or Harbinger, I think it might be based on one of the miniseries I'm not familiar with, I don't know. But it looks like they basically said, okay, we tried to do a multiverse thing with Spider-Man. We obviously screwed up. We're going to have to work with Marvel to get, it's like, hey, he's in the mainstream, cinematic universe. Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's cool. But they want their own thing that they have their own clutches on, so why not Valiant? And for years I've been wondering why, with the success of the Marvel Universe, of any of the properties that are out there that could be bought by a film company, I always felt Valiant was possibly one of them. And now Sony hasn't done that. I think they're probably treading the waters. But what's weird is they've announced sequels along with, they're like, yeah, Harbinger and Bloodshot 1 and 2 for both films, and then this big crossover film that's going to be called Harbingers. The only, which I go, okay, have at it, Hoss. If you believe that it's going to be that successful, okay. Who knows? It could work, it could not. My only big there's a couple of disappointments. One is Bloodshot will not be directed by Mathew Vaughn, who's been sort of in talks when Bloodshot's been at various different studios over the last couple of years. I think even around the time Kick-Ass came out, it looked like Bloodshot might be the film he was going to do afterwards. And then he did X-Men First Class, and then he did Kingsman when he had, but he will be an executive producer. But then again, I also go, he's better as a director than as I'm just going to be a producer. Well, okay, I know a lot of people I know that don't like him for some of the stuff he did with the X-Men movies, and people didn't, and the ending of Kingsman, that one joke thing, whatever. Okay, I liked both of them. I liked Kingsman. My mom thought that was funny, if you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, to get back to Vaughn, he will be an executive producer. The only reason I'm kind of iffy on it is because Vaughn's a producer on the Fantastic Four movie that looks like it's going to be crap. Okay? So besides that, what we have? Well, we have Jeff Wadlow co-writing the script to Bloodshot, and Wadlow, of course, is the writer-director of Kick-Ass 2, which I liked. I thought it was pretty decent. It's definitely better than what Millar wrote for the comics. Oh, Mark Millar. Anyway, so there's that. It looks like Sony, again, isn't buying Valiant, but I wouldn't be surprised that if these movies are successful, Valiant could be bought by Sony. I think they're just hedging their bets because if this stuff all bombs and whatnot, then they're like, well, we don't have to worry about owning this stuff. And it could be a possibility where somebody else, another studio, could pick up some of the remaining Valiant properties and try and do their own shared universe, and then later introduce Bloodshot have Bloodshot and Harbinger and reboot them as part of that new connected universe thingy. The other thing that kind of bothers me is one comic that had been sort of bubbling up as possibly being adapted for years, along with, basically Bloodshot and Harbinger were the two that are the big ones, and there was a third one, and that was Exo Man-O-War, which is basically, like, my favorite Valiant comic, and, of course, there's no reason to do it. I understand that probably the reason they're not doing it is because the premise is basically, what if Conan, and as Joe Quesada, who had worked on Exo back in the day before he was a multimedia conglomerate dude working at Marvel and executive producing shows like Daredevil and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., he was like, what if Conan the Barbarian found Tony Stark, well, basically, Tony Stark's suit, if it was made out of T-1000's liquid metal. And he didn't add the T-1000 liquid metal, but I honestly feel you have to add that into there, because it does a lot of stuff Tony Stark's, suits basically couldn't do until Extremis. But they're not going to do Exo. Which is kind of disappointing. It's the only thing that's disappointing. This is kind of interesting. I'm kind of like, okay, this is okay, and it's probably distracting with the thing behind the back. Whatever. But, this is just some interesting stuff, and thought you'd, This is Rob Webb, a.k.a. William Robert Webb III, a.k.a. Tetsuo the Great, a.k.a. Tetsuo Man, saying, good day, ladies and gentlemen, and have a pleasant day. Wait, what?